Hello, MANSCAPED. Hello, MANSCAPED. Did you say there's a code you can use for 20% off? BSR Sports 20, link in bio. Perfect. Guys, if you don't use it, you're daft. You're very, very daft.
100%.
So
need to get your hands on this.
You really do. It's honestly,
thank you.
Like, the leading market in men's grooming. Like, you can't go wrong with something.
If you're
like
not
this.
leaving yourself happy, you're not leaving the ladies happy. That's
5-star reviews. Go for it. You won't be disappointed.
Guys,
You must get this package alone just for the newspaper. Like, the newspaper just
for the newspaper alone.
It's going up on my wall.
It does mean no mess. Like, I don't think they've missed out anything. No mess, no noise, in the dark, good smell, good tone, grip, size. Oh my. Boxer's t-shirt.
Can it go wrong?
If this is not the full package, what is?
I might leave the podcast and just go use this.
If you want £20 off, 20%, £20 off. Link is in the bio. It's just very daft if you didn't do it. If you're not going to do it. Get the beautiful faces on. Quality. Hello there, and welcome to the BSR Sports Podcast from the fans for the fans. My name's Blair McNally.
My name's McFarlane.
And I'm Connor Elliott.
Welcome, Connor. Connor is going to be a new guest on the World Sports Podcast. He's going to bring us expertise in the field of NBA, aren't you, Connor? Looking forward to it.
I run a channel called CJ Sports, basically just covering all NBA basketball. So, and he's want to talk about the NBA, I'm happy to speak about it, basically.
Yep. So we'll put the link in for Connor's channel down in the bio. Click on that, help him out, drop a wee subscription whilst you're at it. But whilst we're here, I think it's time to focus on BSR Sports. What are we starting? We'll start on a very important event coming up this week, UFC 260. Back again with a major card, to be honest with you. Not even a main event. Usually it's a main event you're looking forward to. What a card to look forward to. We'll start on a fighter that we all know the name of because of his flair, because of his technique, and because of his aggression when he gets into that cage. He's wild, isn't he? Sean O'Malley. He's going to be back fighting, looking to get payback for the last fight. He was undefeated. He was 12-0. He was flying, looking to get close to a title shot, even get to the contender stage. And then Marlon Vera, he got knocked out of Marlon Vera. Was it not knocked out? It was a decision.
TKO, the referee.
TKO, aye. Well, I'm getting mixed up with somebody else. So obviously knocked out. Nobody expected it. And then it was kind of a downer because he was flying, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think with Sean O'Malley, what you said there, that does him justice. He's like an exciting young fighter. Everyone who sort of enjoys the sport, I think, enjoys watching his fight. Very sort of fan-friendly style, and it was unfortunate in the sense that I think he broke his right foot kicking the guy, and then sort of limping around, but and got caught with a shot, I think, on the ground, and the referee stepped in. So he's unfortunate. I think he got a lot of stick as well after the fight because for sort of making excuses and sort of dismissing the other guy, saying I think he said the guy's going to be sort of looked at as a sort of journeyman fighter in a few years, and O'Malley seemed confident that in a few years he'll be champion and stuff. So his confidence doesn't seem to have been shattered at all by it. I think a few people were frustrated with what he was saying, and I think there was some. I could see what they were saying. You see a lot of fighters these days when you lose for the first time in UFC, it's not like boxing where your career is over. You can come back. All the top fighters have lost, so I don't think people were very impressed with the way he sort of went about after losing. But I think this is his chance to right that wrong, and he's got a tough opponent in front of him. Yeah,
Thomas Almeida. Almeida comes in at 22-4. Obviously, he's not undefeated, so he is breakable, but very impressive record, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's lost his last 3 fights, so he's in a bit of a sort of downward spiral, if that's the right way of putting it. But definitely a talented fighter. I think a few years ago he was thought of as like a real sort of up and comer in that division, someone who would be competing like at the very top, and he's obviously fallen off in recent time. But I think he's still going to be a tough challenge, and they're both in sort of similar situations. O'Malley coming off a loss and him coming off 3 losses, but you know, they're both sort of trying to revive their career and make a name for themselves in that division. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings.
I think O'Malley definitely needs a knockout for this fight, though. 100%.
Yeah.
Make a statement. Like, he's a big character, and you've seen with like people with Conor McGregor and stuff. When they lose fights, it doesn't really matter because they draw and the character they have. So I think he definitely needs a knockout this next fight, but to make a statement again.
As you said, look, definitely Conor. But as you said, look, with the revival stage, I think it is it's a fight for their career for both fighters, because we've seen fighters come in and they're high flying and they win about 5-6 fights in a row, and you think they're title challengers, they're close to getting that title fight, and then they get beat, and it's just whacks them with confidence and they're done for. So if he gets, as you said, Conor, if he gets a knockout in this fight and he gets himself back up and running, we could see the same Sean O'Malley we've seen, that who entered into UFC, who opened everybody's eyes and surprised everybody, couldn't we?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen him actually calling out Cody Garbrandt. I think that would be a class fight. Like, 2 characters, I think that's like a knockout written all over it. So I think that would be a class fight for the future as well if he can get through his next opponent. But yeah, definitely needs a knockout in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. So who would we say for this one coming in? Obviously, you've got the more experience in Almeida. He's got a different style. And you've obviously got Sean O'Malley, who just goes in and he just throws himself about. He just throws his weight about if he has got any weight, and just takes whatever he can on the chin. He will just go for it, won't he? So you've got a composed Almeida, and then you've got Sean O'Malley who just goes for it. So what is your thoughts coming into this fight?
I think it'll be close. I think this is probably O'Malley's toughest fight to date, and he lost his last one. So going off that, he's going to have to definitely improve and bring a part to his game that we've maybe not seen in the octagon yet. I think the fact that Almeida, like I said, has lost 3 in a row, that's always going to affect a fighter. And like I said with O'Malley, his confidence doesn't seem to have been shaken at all. So he's probably going to come in not doubting himself in any way. So I would, if I was forced to guess who wins, I would say O'Malley, but I don't think it's going to be easy. Like I said, I think probably his toughest fight that he's had yet.
Yeah.
100%. I think they just, as I said earlier, but I feel like if our fighters on a 3 loss streak, you definitely need to make a statement and knock out. If O'Malley says he's as good as he is, so I don't know. I think O'Malley's got to knock him out in my opinion. But if a decision's good enough to get a fight against a Garbrandt or someone else higher in the division, then yeah, a win's just all he needs. But yeah, a knockout would be good, I think. Yeah,
as we've seen, if you're going to talk, you need to walk the walk as well, don't you? And we've seen Sean O'Malley, what's he like on Twitter? Remarkable, some of the statements he's come out with, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a great character. I feel like the UFC needs more of that. Like with Conor McGregor, obviously his career's not going to be lasting forever, so they need more like characters in the game. And I feel like he's one of them characters that can draw attention and draw eyes, even though he's not won as many fights as other people. So definitely.
Yeah, as you said, I think coming into this fight, you've got a 3-fight losing streak for Almeida. So it's a different one because both are coming in lower in confidence than they usually would be. Am I right in saying that? So yeah. It's going to be a different mindset about this because this is basically a ride or die fight. It's a win or be killed fight, and I can see nerves in the first round, and then after the first round, maybe the second round, I can see both of them just going for it because hopefully they do go for it because it is no holds barred at the end of the day. Winner takes all, isn't it? But personally, I just feel O'Malley needs to take this one. He does need to take this one. I feel it shows the O'Malley that we've seen before that fight. He's talk the talk, and I feel he can walk the walk because he's shown us before that he has got that power, he has got that aggression, and he can catch the other fighters out when least expected, and that's what a flair fighter needs to have, and he 100% does have that. So on to the next fight, we have got Tyrone Woodley against Vincente Luque. I don't know how to pronounce that one, but Woodley's starting to come to the end of his career, isn't he?
Definitely.
He's done it all. Woodley's done it all, and I think it's just a case of trying to stay at the top for him, isn't it, at this moment in time?
Yeah, I think he's obviously, he'll go down as one of the greatest in that division. He's obviously won the belt, defended it, fought against some of the best around, so he's got nothing else to prove. I think he is just at that age where 36, 37 maybe, so he's obviously past his best, but he looks like he takes care of himself, but he doesn't look like the typical 37, 38-year-old fighter that we see. He looks a lot younger than he is, so I think he still poses a threat. I think he'll probably be thinking that maybe he could have another run, potentially trying to get a title shot, if he can get a couple wins together. So I hope he does it. I've always enjoyed his style, even though he's been criticised over the years for sort of being a bit defensive, a bit too tactical. I do like it. I still remember when he submitted Darren Till a few years ago, like what a fight that was. So he can he can bring it. Like he's had some brilliant fights. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how it goes. I hope he gives us a sort of taste of how good he can be.
That's what I was getting on to. I remember Darren Till, he was flying at this point, wasn't he? And he was so close. Yeah, he was so close to getting that title. And Tyrone Woodley, he just stepped into the cage with the wrong guy, didn't he?
He outclassed him, didn't he? He outclassed him in that fight.
And that's one of the only fights I've ever watched that I've said, nah, Darren, you're just not at it. And I think that kind of did knock his confidence, because after that fight, he kind of slumped a wee bit in fights. He wasn't flying like he was before the Woodley fight, with the flying knockouts and stuff. But Woodley, he's composed in the cage, but he does exactly what's needed. He's so calm, cool, and executed, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel it. In my opinion, does he still beat the top guys? Like, is he beating a Kamaru Usman? I don't see it, to be honest.
I don't know if anyone can beat Usman, to be honest.
I know. He obviously just came off the loss to... He came off the loss to Kobe as well, so I don't know. His age is, how much longer has he got in the UFC? I still think he's obviously very talented, but he's just on a downward spiral, if you're honest. Let's be honest. He's probably not going to beat the top guys, but hopefully, as you said, gets a run at it and can give another shot. But yeah, definitely a talented guy. And that, even you're talking about Darren Till, he showed Darren Till. It was a class above Darren Till that day. You could see it, even when he was fighting. But yeah, hopefully he does get a good run, because he's a humble, nice guy, I think. But yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, Vincente Luque comes into this 19-7. Tyrone Woodley comes into this 19-6. So it's going to be a very, very close fight stats wise. But as we've already talked about, age is going to come into it. And Luque, only 29 years of age. Tyrone Woodley, 38 years of age actually. So it's going to be a case of stamina, and we all know Tyrone Woodley's a monster. His body is built like a temple, isn't it? And I don't think stamina will play too much of a part, even though he is 38. I can't see stamina playing too much of a part when you do compare it to age, because he does look after himself quite a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, for a 38-year-old, I can't believe he's 38. Honestly, like, you'd think, I'd honestly say 20 if I just looked at him for the first time. Like he clearly looks after himself. He's in great shape, and like, so should be an inspiration to a lot of different athletes who'll never be in as good a shape as him. And he's nearly 40 years old. So yeah, he shows how to do it the right way, I'd say. Yeah,
definitely. So what are we saying for this fight then?
I'll go with Woodley, just purely because I don't know a huge amount about the other guy and what Woodley's done in the past.
I'd say Woodley, unanimous decision, if I'm honest. That's just a guess, but
yeah. I think he's going to go for a submission in this fight. I don't think he's going to go toe to toe with him. I can see Woodley just going back to his old tactics and going for a submission, a clean TKO, not by submission, just the same way he done with Darren Till, really just dominating, and then just taking advantage, and then just finishing it off calm and composed. Say third or fourth round, he's not going to do it straight away. He won't do it.
Who does he fight? But if he wins this fight, like who does Woodley actually go on to fight if he wins? That's what I'm wondering. Like, does he go on to fight another top guy, or is it the end of his career? Where is he going to go? I don't know.
Honestly, I think it's up to Dana White at the end of the day, because obviously it is up to Dana White at the end of the day, right? But see, because of the age he's at, is the money still going to be in it if he goes to fight another top guy? Because you've got all this energy coming into the division now, and you've got all this chat coming into the division now. Is a Tyrone Woodley fight, say Tyrone Woodley v Usman, is that going to make the money? I don't think so, because Woodley's kind of had his time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's not as if that fight would go any different either, to be honest. Like Kamaru has been totally dominated Woodley the first time. I think Usman's actually improved since that fight, and I don't know. I just feel he's not a big draw for the UFC either. Him and Dana don't get on very well. That's been well noted. Like when he was a champion, Dana White didn't want him to be a champion. He was trying to get him to lose it for ages because the eyeballs he brought to it. But that's what I think, to be honest.
Yep. And then for the main event, what a fight this is going to be. This is going to be just power, isn't it? Francis Ngannou against Stipe Miocic. I'm looking forward to this. Probably won't stay up for it. I'll probably fall asleep, but I'll definitely watch it in the morning anyway. It's going to be a cracker, isn't it?
Yeah, we've already seen with these two, like how I think the first time when they fought, Ngannou was coming off like knockout after knockout. I remember what he did to Alistair Overeem as well, like honestly taking his soul with the knockout he gave. And then with Miocic, I thought he was going to do it. I thought he was going to win the belt, and Miocic just kind of showed his class and sort of experience that he has in the octagon. So I honestly don't know how this is going to go. All I can say is that Miocic is a bit older and Ngannou maybe a bit more experienced than before. But honestly, I don't know. I think I'm really excited for this. I've got no idea who to put my money on for it.
Yeah, so Miocic is obviously going to come into this fight. He'll be high flying. Ngannou, we know the knockout power Ngannou possesses. It's really going to be an interesting fight, but it's going to be a case of power. It's going to be a case of precision and power. It's not going to be a case of flair. It's not going to be a case of stunning roundhouse kicks. It's just going to be a case of who can take the other out as powerful as possible, isn't it?
Well, I think if it's just going to be power, like, I don't think Miocic is going to win. I don't think it's a battle you can really win with Ngannou. We've seen in the first fight that he sort of resorted to other things, like I was saying, just sort of his experience and able to just be sort of crafty with some of the things he does, not going toe to toe. Because if you go toe to toe with this guy, he's going to take your head off. Like he hits you like no one's ever been hit before. So I think Miocic just needs to be clever, use a sort of wrestling, his ground game like he did in the first fight. But that's where it's dangerous, because Miocic is older. He's maybe potentially not in as good a shape as he was before. And Ngannou, while he's 34, he still looks like in tremendous shape, and he's probably come on leaps and bounds since then, because he started MMA quite late, so he is still learning. He's learning on the job. He's learning every fight, so he's going to be a different fighter, potentially more dangerous. He obviously lost to Miocic. I think he lost to Derek Lewis after that, and then it's been three knockouts on the bounce after that. So he's going to be dangerous. I think he's got more chance of winning it this time, obviously, than he did before. So, Miocic is just going to have to be smart, I think. I think if he goes toe-to-toe, then he could be in trouble.
What are your thoughts going into the fight then? How do you think it'll pan out?
Like I say, it's difficult. It's difficult to call, I think. I think if Ngannou catches anyone, like we've seen it time and time again, that they are in trouble. I think Miocic is just going to have to keep his distance, be very smart and tactical, sort of play the long game with him, potentially get him on the ground and see if he can go about a sort of submission game that we've seen a couple of times before in other fights. This is a guy who beat Daniel Cormier twice, and Daniel Cormier is maybe the best wrestler there's ever been in that division. So he's obviously got a really, really high level ground game. So I think that is the way to beat Ngannou and sort of control him, is just take him off his feet, take him out of his comfort zone and sort of see what he does and see how he adapts. But it's a hard one to call, honestly. I wouldn't go against Miocic though, just because he is arguably the best heavyweight ever in the UFC.
He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. I'm telling you.
I don't think it is up for debate. It's maybe just.
I just think it's going to be a dominant performance from Miocic, to be honest. Like, I know Ngannou, obviously his fight against Derek Lewis, that was so bad. That was like one of the worst fights I've ever seen. But he's improved since then in his last 3 fights, obviously getting those knockouts. But has Ngannou got enough to beat Miocic? Like if DC can't beat him back-to-back fights, Miocic has improved so much since that last loss to DC. I don't know. I just see a dominant performance. I feel like Ngannou's just not a well-rounded enough MMA fighter to beat Miocic. Unless he catches him, obviously he's got that fucking one-punch power, but yeah, definitely.
As you said, every time I've watched Ngannou, it's always been the threat of the knockout on the feet. That's a game that he does go for, isn't it? But with Miocic, I think obviously you talk about the submission. I think that's his main threat. But is it a case of Ngannou's going to keep him up? Because you've seen in recent fights, people have tried to take Ngannou to the ground, and he's not. Do you know what I mean? He's worked on. You can see he's definitely worked on that game. So Miocic, obviously, he's undisputed when getting fighters to the ground, and when he gets them down, that's sure. I mean,
I think Ngannou got good enough defense as well, like to stop that. Like, I don't know.
I know it's a hard one because obviously other fighters, I would have said Ngannou's got the good defense, but you know, with Miocic, he can pull out anything. He can pull anything out the bag at any time. If you know what I mean. So it's a hard one, but I feel Ngannou's just going to take this one but he's just going to take something at the blue and he's going to catch him. I feel Ngannou's just got that power, he's got that prowess just to catch him and take him at the game. Just a clean knockout. I can see it. So it probably won't happen, seeing as it's me predicting it, but let's hope it. So what will we move on to next? That's the UFC over and done with. It's going to be a very exciting card. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be one of the best in recent times, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
What will we move on to next? We will move on to Connor. We obviously know.
Want to talk about the NBA?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been an exciting week for the NBA this week, but it's just been full of injuries. Like, honestly, the Lakers are in big trouble. Obviously, losing LeBron James, that high ankle sprain. They were saying he's going to be out for like 5 to 6 weeks at least, could be longer. And that's like already having Anthony Davis out, like a playoff. Obviously, they're already third in the West, which like the playoffs are probably secure, but not having your two best players in your team, you're going to start getting losses because they don't have a lot of scoring in that team already. Like, they're good defensively, but scoring wise, they struggle, and obviously the two superstars are out. So that's been a big loss for them. Yeah,
100%. It's a case of when the Lakers come to town, it's LeBron that comes to town, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just the way it's been for recent years since obviously he joined from the Cavs. It's just completely changed the Lakers as a franchise, hasn't it?
Yeah. The MVP races has been like so weird this year. Like, obviously it started off, Joel Embiid was like the front runner. Obviously he's now injured. I don't know how long he's out for, but he's injured for a significant amount of time. So that maybe put LeBron at the start of the race, and then obviously now he's injured, so it's now looking like Jokic might win it from the Nuggets. So I don't know. It's tough for the Lakers. I feel like they will be fine. I feel like he will return. Anthony Davis is meant to come back before the end of the season as well. So I don't know, but do they have enough to beat the Nets? Kevin Durant, James Harden,
Nets have been fine this season, haven't they?
I know, they've been unreal, and that's with Kevin Durant out. They've not even had all three of them on the court. I think they've played like 2 or 3 games with all three of them on the court at the same time. So I don't know. It's been a sad. It's been obviously very drama filled in the NBA this week, but it's been pretty sad because of the injuries.
Yeah. As you said, KD's obviously missing, massive blow, and then you've got LeBron missing as well. It's a case of how can the teams react to that? Because let's be honest, most teams have got a main player that they can rely on. So you've like, I like the Bulls. It's nothing to do with Jordan. I've just got a thing for Chicago. I want to move up when I'm old on stuff. So I would look to Zach LaVine. And when Zach LaVine's not played this season, we've seen it. The Bulls have been trampled all over. And it's a case of, have you got that squad depth to be able to play without your main player? And I think that is a difference this season, isn't it?
Definitely. Like the trade deadline on Thursday, and like I would not be surprised if there's loads and loads of trades because teams are not good enough. Like as you said, if you're a Bills fan, the Bills have been very poor this season. Like with Zach LaVine, an all-star, they've got Kobe White, a young point guard. They've not been good. They've been looking to trade for players, and then you've got teams like the Clippers who aren't as good as they thought they were. Who need a point guard who've been linked to Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball has been linked to every single team in the NBA this week, and I say that obviously I'm a fan of his, but he's been literally linked to every single NBA team this week. And then obviously the Pelicans aren't good enough with Zion, so they need to trade. It's just honestly so much trades before Thursday, which I think will be exciting for the league, but definitely so much to talk about. So
yeah, 100%. So have you got any interesting fixtures coming up that you're looking forward to, Connor?
Well, tonight obviously the Lakers are playing the Pelicans, which would have been more interesting if everyone wasn't injured, but the Lakers, obviously without Anthony Davis, without LeBron, probably going to struggle. The Pelicans need a win as they're sitting in 12th. We've only got 18 wins with two superstars in Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. They need to start winning games. So I think they make a big statement tonight. Obviously, the Lakers probably will lose this game. But obviously, I don't count the Lakers out because of how good they are in general. And obviously, they're the current champions. But yeah, the Pelicans need a win tonight. And that's going to be a good game to watch if you're looking to watch a game tonight. It's going to be a good game.
What I was going to ask you, what's your thoughts on the Bucks? Because the last 2 seasons we've seen the Bucks dominant. They're starting to slip a bit under this coach, aren't they? And he's starting to get a bit of pressure. We've seen the playoffs, slipped up in the playoffs, and the coach started to get a bit of pressure. And now it's not really changed, has it?
The Bucks, for me, are just such a another one of these strange teams that are obviously very good in the regular season, but Giannis, when it comes to the playoffs, is just been mediocre, if I'm honest. Like, he's a superstar, a back-to-back MVP. He needs to win championships in his career. He can't just keep going years with winning individual awards. Every player wants to win a championship. But the Bucks haven't made any moves that have really impressed me that much. Like Drew Holiday, obviously in the off season, which is obviously he's a nearly an all-star. He's one of these players that are kind of like in between. He's not.
I think he is the type of player at the start of the season. I think he was the type of player that the Bucks needed. I was sitting there and I said, Drew Holiday's been popping off at the start of the season. He did, and it was the type of player that the Bucks needed just to fill that gap. But they've not.
They need another superstar. Yeah, they need another superstar. It's Drew Holiday is what he is. He's a solid NBA player, but you've seen all the teams that are successful. Anthony Davis and LeBron on the same team. Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie. All three of them are on the same team. Like, you need these big superstars together. You're not gonna win a championship with one, just Giannis himself. It's just not gonna happen. I don't know.
See, if I'm honest with you, I think Chris Middleton and Lopez for 1 or 2 seasons made themselves into superstars. But they've not really bounced on from that, if you know what I mean. They've kind of taken a step back in the playoffs. They've not shown superstar status, have they? Yeah,
Lopez is he's a good big man to have. I'd say so. He's not even an all-star really, so superstar is hard to say, but he's a good big man to have on a championship team. Chris Middleton's a great scorer, but again, he's not a superstar. He's not at next level where he'll go and win you games. In my opinion, he just won't do that. Giannis needs help, and until that happens, until the Bucks trade for help, they're not going to win a championship. So,
yep.
Do you want me to talk about the Hornets? That's a key talking point, but obviously the team I support, the Hornets, have had a tough week.
I was trying to limit this podcast, but go on, batter on. Talk to us about Michael Jordan, his amazing franchise. What's he doing for you?
The Hornets have been so fun to watch this season. Obviously, if you watch the NBA, everyone knows it. They're the talk of the NBA this season. Obviously, point guard LaMelo Ball is out for the rest of the season. But obviously, I just seen a tweet there which is saying that he had surgery in his right hand, which he broke against the Clippers the other night, and it's been successful. So hopefully, if the Hornets make the playoffs, he would be able to return. But he's been the clear Rookie of the Year frontrunner all year round, and I feel like it was so sad. Like that was like, even people are tweeting out, that's just gutting news just to see, like, even opposing teams, you don't want to see the best players get injured, because he was one of the teams that you're excited to play against because he was so fun to watch. But yeah, I just thought I'd get that in there because it was pretty big news this week in the NBA. So yeah, talking about
Rookie of the Year, last year's Rookie of the Year, Ja Morant. What's your thoughts on him this season?
Special talent. He was amazing last night. Honestly, you had to watch him, but again, special. He needs to work on his outside shot. He needs to develop that more. If I was being critical, obviously you can be critical of everyone. I still think Zion Williamson will be the better player in that draft. I still think that was the right choice, taking him number 1 overall. But Ja's just unbelievable. The athleticism he shows. I mean, at times he's nearly dunked on someone. Like, it's been so close. Like, it's been unbelievable. He's just so athletic. And future.
As you said, Zion Williamson is special talent as well. I think Ja Morant's more of a flair player, if you know what I mean. He's just got that different style of agility. But Zion Williamson, I would say, is more effective. The problem with Williamson, I would say, is injury. He's very injury prone.
Oh my God,
that's his big problem. That's
he needs to get his weight down. He needs to get his weight down. He's jumping. You see how high that guy jumps and how big he is. His knees are going to be in trouble in a few years. I tell you that. But it's amazing how good he is already. 25 in a game. He's only 20 years old. It's just, I don't know. It's unheard of. He was a guaranteed superstar. Everyone knew whoever got the number 1 pick was getting Zion. That was the thing. He was a superstar coming in the league. So I think he's been better than expected, to be honest. But yeah, two brilliant players.
Definitely. So it's going to be an interesting week for the NBA this week, isn't it? What games have we got coming up towards the end of the week? Is there any interesting games?
What's coming up this week?
For the Hornets.
Oh, the Hornets. Yeah, the Hornets are playing the Rockets, who obviously just came off last night. They were on a 20 losing streak, and obviously John Wall had a triple-double last night and stopped that. But yeah, the Rockets have been embarrassing.
See ever since the problems with what's his name? Big beard.
Harden.
I mean, how am I James Harden.
Yeah.
See ever since James Harden left and joined the Nets, it's as if the Rockets just don't know what to do.
They've had a lot of problems this season. They've got Christian Wood, who's obviously a good up-and-coming centre. They've got John Wall. John Wall's not the same player anymore. He's nowhere near it. He's not the same player that used to be. His athleticism isn't there anymore. He had a triple-double last night and they won. I think it's shown how bad the Rockets have been that they're celebrating stopping a 20 losing streak. That's the big celebration. It was all over Twitter. That's how the Rockets have gone, because in past years they've been championship contenders almost with Harden, and obviously that whole situation with him was a bit of a mess.
MVP
season,
Harden was MVP for them as well, so it just shows you.
I know, definitely. But Hornets are playing them this week, so that's another game where Hornets can, if they win, they go above the Knicks and also above the Atlanta Hawks. So the Knicks have been, again, quickly just touch on the Knicks. The Knicks have been amazing this year, by the way, because the Knicks have, for the last few years, been a terrible, terrible franchise, but finally they've found the right coach.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because we've seen the Knicks, say about 10 years ago. They were doing pretty well. Obviously, when all of them from the 80s and stuff competing with Chicago and stuff, but they have turned themselves around, and they were a bottom. They finished bottom last year, didn't they? So
they were one of the bottom seeds last year. Yeah, but I think it's just about their franchise is so big. Like New York, everyone wants to play for New York. Let's be honest. The Lakers, New York, Boston, those kind of teams, everyone wants to play for them. They're not a small team. They're huge, honestly huge. So I think that's been the fans have been crying out for them. They hate their owner, by the way, I might say. So obviously he's got a bit of praise this year that normally he doesn't get. But they got the coach right, and they've got Julius Randle, who's an all-star this year. They've got
Randle's second to none, isn't he?
RJ Barrett's coming up. Obviously, he's a second-year player out of Duke. He was a bit disappointing last year, but he's been so good this year. And yeah, they've got Emmanuel Quickly, who's a rookie, who's came on to stuff. He was the 12th overall pick, I think. And actually, that's a lie. He's the 25th overall pick. I don't know about that just there, but he's been unbelievable this season. So yeah, that's basically the NBA this week. But yeah, it's been an exciting week for us.
So we'll get another round up next week. Thank you very much, Connor. Look, I think you're more of an NFL type of guy, aren't you? Very, very interesting week coming up with the draft. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to it, aren't you? Well, I think we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite a unique draft, just in the sort of some of the players that are coming through. It's kind of reflects the way the free agency has been as well, with just so many quarterbacks coming through. You've got like 2 or 3 really high profile quarterbacks in free agency that are looking for other teams. And I think you've got maybe 5 or 6 quarterbacks that are going to probably go in the first round in this year's NFL draft. So it's a big one, and I think it's not something you see every year. I think even next year it's not going to be as many quarterbacks coming up to the league from college that are thought of as highly as the ones are this year. So it's going to be really interesting to see who's trying to get that franchise quarterback and who's sort of going to be using that first round pick on them as well.
Yeah. So obviously getting into the draft, who do you think who have you got the most expectations for coming into it?
For me personally, the person that I've looked at the most is Justin Fields from Ohio State, but it's not. From what I'm seeing in the media, people don't seem to be massively impressed with Justin Fields. The talk a few months ago was, and this is still the case, Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1 most likely. And then
Yeah.
it was Justin Fields that was going to go number 2, but people seem to have sort of gone off the idea of Justin Fields being drafted too high. I don't really know why. It's always really strange. It seems to be the same every year, where people just the so-called experts just get a feeling that a quarterback doesn't have a certain there's a part of a skill set that's not going to translate very well to the NFL. And a lot of the time they're wrong. Sometimes they're right, but with Justin Fields, I think he's going to be unbelievable. Honestly, like from what I've seen of him at Ohio State, I think it's Clemson that Trevor Lawrence plays for. Those two teams were playing each other early in the season, and Justin Fields totally outdid them. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see where he goes and where he gets drafted. Like I said, I think it was expected that he would go sort of number 2 and number 3, and then now there's talk that he might go sort of between 15 and 20, which could be exciting for some teams. My team, the Washington football team, I think they've got the 17th overall pick, and they're looking for a quarterback. So I'm really hoping
Washington football team. What a name,
I'm hoping that Justin Fields does fall to us in the 17th round, because I think that would be an absolute steal if it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Very interesting as well. What's your thoughts on free agency at the moment?
Yeah,
there's been a lot going on, hasn't there?
Yeah, definitely. We've seen it quite a lot. I think the caps come down this year, but a lot of the big teams have had a lot of work to do. The New England Patriots, I think, are probably the ones who have done the most business. I think they've signed something like 14 new players, as well as some of the players that they re-signed, whose contracts were expiring. Cam Newton, they brought back Cam Newton. There's a lot of talk of what they were going to be doing at quarterback. He was getting linked with other teams. I think Cam Newton's one very charismatic at quarterback. Everyone loves Cam Newton, but he's just not been doing it the last few years. So I was very surprised to see him get given a contract. It's not that I don't think he's good enough anymore. It just didn't seem to be having the best first season last year when he sort of took over from Tom Brady. But I think with Bill Belichick, we're sort of seeing that he does potentially believe in Cam Newton. I think he had a really hard time last year, sort of coming in. I think he caught COVID halfway through the season, and it was a poor Patriots team. From the Patriots that have won Super Bowl after Super Bowl in recent years, I think they finished 7-9, and people are saying the fact they even got 7 wins is a huge compliment to Belichick and Cam Newton at centre as well. So yeah, I think something like 14 players, and I heard some crazy numbers. It was like £200 million contracts or something in the space of a few hours when you add up over a few years. So they've been really busy. The only thing is that I'd say about them is that none of the players they've signed really stand out as superstars or like real franchise changers. Like a lot of them are good players and at a sort of decent level. I forget the name of one of the receivers they signed. That's probably going to be like the main man there after, and because of Edelman obviously getting older, but it's just not sort of at the level you'd expect for the amount of money they're spending. But I think they're definitely going to do better this year, and I'll be really interested to see how Cam Newton does in his second year. The Buccaneers are another one. For them, obviously, they won the Super Bowl. There wasn't a lot they
They're
had
just
to
trying
do.
to build.
It's more about maintaining for the Bucs, because so many of their players, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, Brady, I think Chris Godwin, Mike Evans potentially, all Levante David, all had their contracts running out. So I think they've maybe done one. I think they've franchise tagged. I think it was Godwin, and then Levante David signed a new contract just before I came on with you two. Brady's signed a new contract. Gronkowski. I think the only big name now that's left is maybe Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown, who haven't signed long-term deals, and they could potentially be expendable. I could see them being like two of the stars that they maybe do let go just to sort of keep the cap down. But I think they've done brilliantly. People have been impressed. So a lot of the time when a team wins the Super Bowl and people's contracts are running out, they want to cash in, they want to get the sort of best deal they can have, and they've done well to keep a lot of the players. Tom Brady especially, I've been impressed with, and so is a lot of people. I think he's taken like a big wage cut to kind of to just keep that cap space for the team so they could bring back a lot of the other players, because he's obviously been playing for so long. He doesn't need the money. He knows like he is potentially jeopardising the team if he insists on a huge contract. And it's a stark contrast to the Chiefs we're seeing with Patrick Mahomes. And listen, I'm not criticising players for wanting to get paid, but I think he signed the biggest contract in all of sports earlier this year. And you've got Tyreek Hill as well coming out, who publicly told us that he was asked by the Chiefs to sort of, I don't know the exact word they used, but sort of restructure, I think it was, his current contract, and he just said no, like you've agreed to pay me this amount of money, I'm not changing it. And I think they've got a real problem, the Chiefs. They lost one of their star tackles, Mitchell Schwartz, I think he's called, and that offensive line, like we've seen Blair in the Super Bowl, how much Patrick Mahomes is getting hit by the Buccaneers defense, and it's an area they need to strengthen, but I just don't know if they've got the sort of cap space to be doing that. That's the area they've let go maybe one of their best tackles on the team, and I don't know what their plan is. I don't know if they're thinking about drafting high to get some new linemen in or new tackles in, but I think just with the amount of money they've paid Mahomes, they've really potentially put the franchise in jeopardy.
Shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say to that is put yourself in the Patriots position where they've lost Tom Brady, right?
Mm.
Look at the Patriots now. You obviously spoke about 7-9. I think there's an element of fear there that Mahomes is young. Loads of teams are after him. There's money there from other teams. So if they didn't pay him that money that he was demanding, obviously his agents went, look, MVP, go for it. Finals MVP, just go for it. Demand it. And it's a win-win for Mahomes, isn't it? But put yourself in the Chiefs' the Chiefs' position, sorry. See if they didn't offer him that and he goes to another club, it would be a case of, because we know how reliant the Chiefs are on Mahomes for the style of play they have.
Mm-hmm.
So if they lose Mahomes to another team, it's a whole different story, because they're going to need to start again. And I think it is a fear factor to just pay him that contract and maybe work around him.
For me, it's not a criticism of the Chiefs as an organisation. It's more a criticism of Mahomes, because when you make the comparison with Brady and him, if Brady wanted to get double, triple his salary that he's getting right now, he probably could. He'd probably accept that, but he'd know that there's going to be players that wouldn't be coming back anymore because they can't afford. And that's the thing with Mahomes. I remember him saying like, "Oh, I've deliberately done it so they can still afford to improve the team and get new players in." But it doesn't really seem like that right now. And there's obviously other players in the team that they can potentially cut and make space for new ones coming in. But I think you just need to ask yourself, like, if you are you wanting to make money, or are you wanting to have your team at the highest level for a number of years with the best players? And I think with Brady, you're seeing that. But listen, I understand it. It's harsh to compare the two, because Brady's at a stage, he's 41, 42. He's made his millions. He's got plenty of money in the bank. His wife, I think, is even richer than him as well. So he doesn't need to.
See, at the end of the day, see, at the end of the day with Brady, I wouldn't even think about money, because look at the legacy he's made. Brady's the greatest of all time. Yeah. And I think that's what Mahomes is after as well. He's wanting to put a stamp in Chiefs history. He's wanting to become what Brady's become for the Patriots, obviously for the Chiefs. And we know what he's already done for
the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, sorry. But we know what he's done for the Chiefs, but it's a case of, is he loyal?
Mm-hmm.
Or is he all about money? Because we know the up-and-coming players, it can be a case of money, isn't it? And maybe we don't know what's going on in the background, but I think with Mahomes, it's going to be different from Brady, because because of the new generation, the agents and stuff, it's going to be a case of money. So it's how long this rolls on for, if he's going to stay loyal to the Chiefs or not. With the way Brady was.
Yeah, and listen, if I was in Mahomes' shoes, if I was the most sought after player in the league, I'd be demanding all sorts of money, and I think all of us are the same. So you totally get it, but yeah, like I said, and you mentioned it there, it does come down to, are you wanting to win Super Bowls, or are you wanting to get a crazy amount of money in, or do you want to maybe take a little bit less money and and potentially get better players in, and having your other players being able to get better contracts. So we're going to see. Listen, we wouldn't be talking about any of this if the Chiefs had won the Super Bowl. I doubt, because I think it's just off the back of that one loss, and they still had an amazing season, but it's easy to get sort of carried away with criticism. But I think a lot of people are worried about them, and I don't think their fan base would be too happy with sort of the situation with CAF and some of the players with the money they're getting and cutting some of their players as well. So we're going to have to see what happens with the Chiefs, I think.
One last question, just to wrap it up. With the case of Gronkowski and Brady, do you think this is going to be the last season?
I think it depends.
Because
I think it depends how they do. I think with Gronkowski, I don't think he's got. I think Brady could potentially stay longer than him, honestly. With Gronkowski, I think he sort of struggled at times last year. He showed.
Didn't struggle in the Super Bowl, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he didn't struggle in the Super Bowl at all. He showed us how good he was. But in the regular season, I think at times he wasn't the player he was, and we could sort of see why he had retired. I'm not being too critical of him. He's an unbelievable player, and he was.
He's not. What I would say is that he's what I would say is he's still the player that he is, but he can't do it on a consistent level with the way that he used to be. I understand what you're saying,
but at the same time, you'd rather that. Would you rather have the Chiefs where it's like Tyreek Hill performing amazing for 16 games of the season, but then ultimately in the Super Bowl fall short, can't catch the ball, or would you rather have Gronkowski sort of average for most of the season if we're judging him fairly, and then in the Super Bowl shows his experience and how good he is? So yeah, he's definitely still got a lot to offer. I think if they win the Super Bowl again, I could see both retiring if they win it again. If they don't win it again and maybe still do well, I could see Gronk potentially leaving and Brady maybe staying for another year. But it's hard to work out how these guys work, because Gronk is already retired and then come back, and Brady doesn't seem like retiring anytime soon. He's already said he wants another ring, so we're just gonna have to see. But I wouldn't be surprised if they win again this year.
What a way to round off with two goats of the game. Boys, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Check out Connor's channel down below. Connor, absolutely delighted to have you in the World Sports Podcast. You're going to bring an excellent field of play from the NBA, shooting hoops as usual. Look, thank you very much for your expertise in the fighting game and American football. But boys, there's only one thing that we can do, and that's click that subscribe button. Help us out, give us a massive boost. Just click that subscribe button. Help us out, and we'll help you out with better content. If you've not already, leave a like as well. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, boys. And until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me as well. Cheers.